We're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you guys so much for joining, and of course, Alexandra, thank you so much for joining. So we're gonna start by just introducing ourselves, and then we'll jump into it. So, hi everyone again. My name is Kai Ricketts. I'm a senior elementary education major from Miami, Florida. From Miami, Florida, and I attend Spelman College. My dance background, I've been dancing since I was 3 years old at my home studio back in Miami. I've trained in various styles, ballet, all the things. I went to a performing arts high school in Miami for a couple of years before I decided to focus on my academics. And I also have done a little bit of dance at Spelman. So, very excited to be here with you and be in conversation.
Awesome. I'm Alexandra Hutchinson. I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware, but I grew up in Washington, D.C., where I danced at the Washington School of Ballet. I also started when I was 3 years old in ballet, but really started getting more serious when I went to the Washington School of Ballet. And after that, I went to Indiana University, where I majored in ballet and got my outside field in arts management. After that, I went to Nashville Ballet Second Company and danced there for a year before I joined Dance Theater of Harlem, which I've been in the company now for 8 seasons. So I'm really excited to be here and represent ballet and books.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
I can go next. Hi, my name is Kayla Singh. I'm a junior health science major on pre-med track with a minor in psychology, attending Spelman College, and I too have been dancing since I was around about 5 years old. I'm also engaged in different dance styles too, and now in this semester is my first time like taking a dance class at Spelman, so I'm like getting back in touch with that. So I'm really happy to speak with you tonight.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Aaliyah Blanc. I'm a sophomore kinesiology student, also from Miami, Florida. I started dance when I was around 3 as well. I trained in all styles of dance, and since I graduated high school, I've kind of been out of dance, but I'm trying to find my way back in with like student orgs and through ballet and books as well. So I'm also really excited to be here.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. And we have one more person that's supposed to join, but she's running a bit behind. So when she joins, she can introduce herself. And we're gonna introduce you a little bit more formally. So, um,
Oh,
Alexandra Hutchinson is a professional ballerina with the Dance Theater of Harlem, where she is currently in her eighth season. Like she said, born in Wilmington, Delaware, she trained at the Academy of Dance and Wilmington Ballet and the Washington School of Ballet before earning a Bachelor of Science in Ballet with an outside field in arts management from the Indiana University Jacobs School of Music. She began her professional career with Nashville Ballet too and has since built a dynamic and expansive repertoire at Dance Theater of Harlem. Her performance credits include principal and featured roles in works such as George Balanchine's Donizetti Variations, his Allegro Brillante, and John Terrace's The Firebird, to name a few. She has also originated roles in Robert Garland's Higher Ground and Breathe. In addition to her work with DTH, Hutchinson has appeared as a principal guest artist with the New York City Ballet, performing The Dewdrop in George Balanchine's The Nutcracker and in Pam Tanowitz's Gustave Le Gray #1. Her artistry has been recognized with honors, including the Pierians Foundation Incorporated 2018 Emerging Young Artist Award and multiple Virginia Johnson Scholar tuition stipends from the Washington School of Ballet. She was also featured in Point Magazine in the article Working Out with DTH's Alexandra Hutchinson, highlighting her strength, discipline, and dedication to her craft. I
ah,
hope
it's
that
so
was good.
crazy hearing. That was great. It's so crazy hearing all of the things that I've done in my lifetime, and I'm really excited to learn more about you guys too. It is really such an amazing journey that I've had, and I feel very fortunate to be able to talk to you guys, maybe give some advice, and um, yeah, inspire.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Alexis just joined. I'm gonna see if she can get in fast enough. Um, it's not working for me. We'll see if she. I don't know. I tried to accept her, but
I think the max might be 4.
oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, I'll get started with the first question that we have for you. So, it says, "What is your dance background? When did you first get into ballet, and what was that experience like? Do you think if you had a program like Ballet and Books growing up, that your experience as a dancer would have been different?"
Okay, so I was an only child, and my parents actually called me a miracle baby because they tried for 13 years to have a baby. And so when I came around, they poured into me and into all the things that I loved. And so even when I was in my mom's belly, I was like dancing around in there. So when I was 3 and I was old enough to actually get like training, they put me in. And I didn't find out that my mom was a dancer when she was younger until I was like 12, because they really wanted to make sure dance was my choice and my decision. And every year I remember my mom would ask me like, "Are you sure if you want to dance?" And I every time was so excited. And I've danced like all throughout my whole life. So it really has been a lifelong journey for me. I didn't know that I was going to be a professional dancer really, and didn't want to really until I got to high school, because the hours started to get more and more rigorous. I joined the like pre-professional training program at the Washington School of Ballet. So I had to leave school at 2 o'clock every day and miss my last class academic wise, to go to train in ballet. And so I had to do a lot of outside work with my teachers and other students in my class. So I always say, even though I went to university, that was kind of the hardest time for me in terms of academics and um, ballet training. And my dad was a double major in English and history. Both my parents went to Williams College, and that's where they met. So all the time when I was growing up, even though they both loved dance and ballet, I would really bond with my mom over that. And so when I got the opportunity to join the board of Ballet and Books, I was really excited because I feel like it's a connection to my dad as well. And he actually was my English teacher in seventh and eighth grade. So that was crazy to be able to have him and kind of share a love for ballet and as well as education.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I totally understand. I'm an education major, so maybe I'll end up teaching my kids one day. I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's really
it's
nice to
cool.
hear. Yeah.
It was really hard on me though. That was kind of hard. Um, that was the only challenging part. I got a little bit more, but
Right.
I wouldn't get any special treatment.
Totally understand. Yes. Um, so my next question is, as you kind of touched on, you recently joined the board of directors of Ballet and Books. What kind of inspired you to step into this leadership role?
That's a great question. So, Dance Leader of Harlem, I'll just tell a little bit of history about the company. It was founded in 1969 by this man named Arthur Mitchell, and he was the first principal dancer of color to be in New York City Ballet. And so he was really famous because George Balanchine promoted him to a high level of being able to be featured, originating roles off of him. He was also in productions on Broadway. And so it was like he was a star at that time. And then instead of just kind of basking in that spotlight, he decided that he wanted to start a ballet company in school in Brazil. And when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, he realized, why would I go to another country when I could just stay in Harlem and do the same kind of work by giving back to my community? And so that's what he did. He started Dance Theater of Harlem in the 60s, and it was kind of like a birth of opportunity for dancers, brown and black, to be able to study classical ballet, neoclassical ballet, and excel in the art form because so many people didn't believe black people could be accepted in this light. And so I always like to kind of nod to that because he really gave back to his community. He realized that dance isn't just about being in the moment and like thinking about yourself, but it's also about giving back and uplifting the future and the next generation of dance. And so I feel like this is a perfect example of passing along my experiences, kind of involving myself with younger dancers and giving them like that nod that they can achieve the things that I've been so fortunate to achieve.
Yeah, 100% agree. Totally.
Hmm.
Thank you for that answer. The next question we have is, how do you pour back into dance for youth, and why is investing in the next generation of dancers important to you?
So let's see. I actually spent a lot of my time recently, like really just trying to do dance well, like by pouring 100% of my time into the dances that I was learning, making sure I'm performing 100%. And when COVID happened, we actually, the dancers became the faculty of the school. And so in that time, I realized how much I enjoyed interacting with youth and inspiring them to believe in themselves, because a big part of dance is being really vulnerable and kind of putting yourself out there. And a lot of times I was the only Black girl in my class when I was training. And so I realized that I had this opportunity to uplift um, young girls that look just like me and like let them know that the confidence is all you need to achieve the things that you want to do, whether it is excelling in dance or in other fields in life. It's such a great way to apply uh, being able to perform and to put yourself out there and walk in your most confident self. So I really like getting to like preach a little bit and uplift, because I didn't always get that. A lot of times I would be ignored or kind of told like, oh, you're not going to be a professional because of how you look, you know, you're a little bit more muscular, you're curvy, it's just not going to work. And so even though I had my parents like encouraging me, there were times where it was really challenging and I could have decided to not go on. So I think that realizing like there is an opportunity for me to share my stories of like not everything was perfect for me, even though like my resume sounds amazing, there were times where I was kind of questioning it. So being able to pass those experiences along is something that I really is fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely agree that representation is definitely like important in those spaces, and I'm glad that it's increasing more like as we. The next question is, who are the
Yes.
mentors that shape you in dance or otherwise, and how do you carry their influence into your work today?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say I was really inspired by Virginia Johnson. I was her scholar, as you had said earlier, at Washington School of Ballet. And so I got to meet her when I was 13 years old. She was a founding member of Dance Theater of Harlem, and she was also my first boss when I joined the company. So it was cool getting to meet her at 13 and then work with her when I was 22. So it was amazing to be able to see her in different spaces. And she also is such a trailblazer in the dance world. So kind of learning from her and her approach at dance in general was really inspiring to me. And seeing that she started Point Magazine, she always like wanted to kind of push the envelope of what a dancer is. And because I got my outside field in arts management, I've always had like a hunger not just to be just a dancer, but do more than that. Because Point Magazine is basically dance from dancers' perspectives instead of always getting feedback from outside critics. So it was really cool to know that she like started that as a Black woman is really amazing. I would say she's a big inspiration. Of course, my mother has always inspired me. She really pushes me to be my best self in every way. And yeah, my dad too is a big inspiration. We're really close, so I would say they really motivate me to keep going.
Mm,
That's wonderful. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Having supportive parents can really, make or break your experience with dance, especially because it's so expensive. Like, if you don't have supportive parents, you can't really do a lot, unfortunately.
It's true. And the thing is, there were times where it got so expensive that they had to start GoFundMe's
Mm.
to kind of raise money from my family, outside extended family, but then friends, family friends too. Helped me get to like go to Paris when I was in college for a summer program. And I think like a lot of people help pay for point shoes, so that was definitely a beautiful thing to like. It kind of took a village for me to get to where I am, and they really were like palaces of like making sure that I was really networking and putting myself in a position to be able to afford opportunities.
Yeah, totally. And that's why programs like Ballet and Books are really important because we do have that part of our program where we guarantee every new student gets a pair of ballet shoes, they get a leotard, tights, and they get a book. And I really appreciate that part of the program because without it, some of these kids would never even know what those, things are and how necessary they really are for ballet.
Yes, and opportunities like that really inspire to believe that you can do something just by having the leotard and having the shoes. It like gives you that go ahead to be able to walk into the studio and feel comfortable and not just, wearing whatever that you can afford to wear. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
100%
really
agree.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay. For our next question, when you reflect on your journey, what is your personal why behind staying committed to both dance and youth development? And has that why evolved over time?
So I think recently this has really come to the front of my mind because there's been so much craziness in the world. And I think in times of like chaos and confusion, I feel like the arts, like people turn to the arts for hope and motivation. And so I really do think that it's the perfect time for companies like Dance Theater of Harlem to really dive in and do the work because it really takes you out of reality and gives that kind of like whimsy and let your imagination flow and have those good feelings because it can be really like depressing just like going through the mundane of day-to-day life. So I find that I get a lot of solace in knowing that we bring joy to people. um, like we right now I'm in France and we've been performing for like really brand new audiences, and they've really just been so moved by just seeing the dance. And it's just like dance is universal. It goes across any kind of difference that people might have about their beliefs, about their color, you know, the language they speak. So I really find that dance can kind of break through that wall. Um, and of course, reading is just something that gets lost, especially in like times like now that everyone's on their phone. You know, we really need to get people moving. Movement and reading are just so great for the mind and soul. So it's kind of like a culmination of like two really important things that can't get lost.
Yes, I feel like our whys were pretty similar for why I wanted to start a chapter at my school. I've always felt the same way about dance, like being my safe space, and I've always been like a bookworm, so like combining like my two favorite things on earth. Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun.
Yes, it's
So for our
true.
next one, um, what obstacles did you have to overcome that may not be widely discussed in the dance space?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say rejection is one of those things that every dancer has faced, but I feel like it's not spoken about. And so I joined the company after auditioning 3 times. I auditioned after high school when I was graduating. I auditioned again uh, when I graduated from college, and then a third time a year later. And I really do like to tell that story because when you read a resume out loud, it's like, oh yeah, like it was so easy, like I just went from one step to the next. But it really is challenging to be able to go to an audition and not know whether or not you're gonna move forward in the place that you really want to be at. And so I think my advice would be to believe in yourself, and know that it might not happen at the time that you think it'll happen. And I actually recently am like realizing I don't think I would have had as many successes if I had joined the company the first year I auditioned, because we're a touring company, and so I there were lessons that I needed to learn in college and a year after that to be able to excel in the company space. So I think kind of trusting the process, leaning on those that support you, whether it's your family members or your teachers or a mentor that you have, not being afraid to ask them for advice is another thing that I think really can benefit you from feeling like, oh, I didn't get that job or I didn't get that role or that opportunity, and feeling like it's like the end of the world, and instead just like leaning on others to motivate you to keep going and to keep trying. And if you really believe in something, like keep going at it. Don't just think just because someone said no once that it won't happen for you.
That's really crazy that you said that because I had a scholarship meeting yesterday and we were talking with like the city council for the city of Greensboro and they were all telling their stories about how they, campaigned and ran for office and all of them had to run 3 times before they actually got into their appointed position. So I just feel like the number 3 is like
Yeah.
following me around a little bit. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's true because like I feel like people don't really talk about that
Hmm.
right away because it's almost like you feel like a shame when you don't get something the first or second time, or if you don't pass something. But sometimes those trials and tribulations have to happen in order to make you strong enough to then excel.
Yes, I agree. Okay. For our
Totally.
next one, how can young dancers advocate for themselves in professional spaces?
Ooh, I would say showing up is a big plus. And that really is like across dance world, any world, in professional space, being like very accessible and working hard and doing 100% all the time. I mean, of course we're human, so of course there are times where you don't feel like you have 100%, but not taking like that opportunity for granted. Like if you're in a space that you want to be in, you have to show up and do the best that you can do. And that's the only way that you keep growing too. If you do the bare minimum, then you won't necessarily get the opportunities or that promotion or um, something that's not even in your radar, on your radar. For example, like I didn't even know I could guess at New York City Ballet. Like that was like a crazy opportunity that came to me from the heavens, honestly. But I really do believe that I earned it because I always showed up to every day of work, even if I was a little sick. I don't know if I advised that, but just having that grind, even once you get into the space that you want to be in, and not just like saying, "Oh, I made it. I'm good. I don't have to do everything." But just like keep going and always strive for more because we're always going to be students in anything that we do. So like even now I've been dancing for a good amount of time and I'm still learning and growing. So I think that's something too that is important to keep.
Yeah. I totally agree. I tell my students that all the time. Like, just because you got the right answer this one time, you still need to practice. Like, because let something else come up, and it may be a
Mhm.
little bit different. It's always important to keep practicing. I definitely agree. Um, Next question is a little bit longer, but it's as someone with extensive ballet training at the Dance Theater of Harlem, the National Ballet, and your time at New York City Ballet, at what point did you realize dance wasn't just something you loved, but something you wanted to build your life around? And were there any experiences that affirmed or challenged that decision?
Hmm. Um, I would say Yeah, definitely the high school time, because I was making a lot of sacrifice in terms of my social life and not being able to go to a lot of things that I wanted to and be like quote unquote normal. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna miss out on like basketball games and going like being with my friends and sleepovers because I have an audition in the morning and ballet in the morning. I have ballet all the time. Then I really want to like commit to it. Like at the Washington Ballet, we had 30 Nutcracker performances, which was crazy in the month of December. And so I just remember feeling like this is like not only am I choosing this, but it's something that I love more than just a hobby, but it's something that I want to really kind of keep excelling in and keep growing in. And I think just like anything, if it's really important to learn from a young age the discipline and the responsibility that you have to and that you owe yourself to really like keep pushing yourself, um makes dancers so strong mentally. You know, like in your teens you're learning like, okay, I can't eat this, I can't do that, I have to make sure I get this amount of sleep. And not everyone is getting that amount of rigorous time because you're an athlete, but you're also an artist. And it's crazy, like even past then, I'm realizing more and more that the artistry is just as important as the technique. And so that takes time as well too to build that intention in how you want to express your emotions. And so I really found that like dance was brings me so much joy and fulfillment, because it's always there's always something to work on and grow on. um, and I learned so much about myself in dance too by being able to be vulnerable on stage and show emotions and not just do the steps correctly, because that was something that I would think about for so much of my time when I was training and in school. I was like, I just want to do the steps well and correctly, and like that's it. But there's like a whole other world of growth and opportunity to kind of keep working on.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Me and Aaliyah, we grew up together. We went to the same studio, so we definitely know having to make sacrifices and not going to this and that because of rehearsal, and especially when it's around showtime and there's extra rehearsals and all the things. So we definitely understand, and I do agree that when it becomes your passion, to at least for me, I didn't mind missing things because I love dancing so much. And
Mhm.
I'm kind of making up for it now in college. Making up for all the experiences that I kind of missed while I was in school. So I definitely agree.
Yes, yeah, it's true. Once you realize, you're like, okay, I really love this, so it's worth it.
Exactly. Agreed. And next we have, how has your experience been when seeking out professional dance opportunities? Were there any challenges you faced and how did you overcome them? I feel like you kind of touched on this, but if you have any other like specific situations.
um I'm trying to think if I had another. There have been times that I wasn't cast in something,
Mhm.
and I even had like a colleague turn to me and say like, oh, we didn't get that because we're black.
Mhm.
And that might have been true. I don't know the answer. But I remember feeling like I can't frame my mind this way, um because then I don't want to use that as an excuse. And so, even though there might have been discrimination, I really have found that if I just keep doing my very best, that's all that I can do. And whether someone isn't casting me in something because of the color of my skin, that's their problem and it's not me. Because there was a point when I was really young that I turned to my mom and I was like, I wish I was white because like it would be so much easier. And I'm so happy that I'm in a space now where my color is celebrated
Mhm.
and I'm able to tell Black stories through dance. And so, yeah, it's just great to be able to now realize that our color and our is our beauty and our superpower. And that we bring something to dance in general too, just by being who we are. So I really do think that even though there are some crazy people that are like, oh, black people can't do this, you can't do that, or want to put you in a box, instead of making excuses, all you can say is, hey, I did my best, and if it didn't come to me, it wasn't meant for me. But yeah, I think it's really hard out here. So you don't want to kind of frame like, oh, I didn't get that because of that, or you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And I definitely feel like what we're doing right now is a great opportunity for dancers to see like you can make it as a black dancer. Like you said, you've been with DTH for 8 seasons. Like that's a really long time. And I was looking at the cast and like everybody is black. So it's like it clearly can happen. And
Sure.
I just saw Ailey this past weekend in Atlanta, and most of the cast was black there. And then there's like Urban Bushwomen, and there's so many different companies that really do represent us. And I think when we have opportunities like this to speak to professional dancers and put you guys on display, it definitely helps show younger dancers and even us who may not dance anymore, but we're still tuned into the dance world. It definitely is nice to have these types of conversations to hear about y'all experience.
And I definitely agree with like not letting like discrimination kind of like get to, or like I kind of like consume like how you think. So I feel like in like this world, like there's discrimination like every day, everywhere. Like, and it's like up to you to like kind of like handle like how you let it affect you and influence like your life. So I think like thinking of it like, you know, in a more positive light, I feel like that's really good. And then
Yeah, and not let it defeat you, you know, because
yeah,
if you get into that mind frame, then you might subconsciously start to believe it, you know, that you don't deserve certain things. So by doing like 120%, you're like, you know what? If it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be.
yes, definitely. Our next question is, what has been your favorite role this far to perform?
Ooh, I honestly, next week I'm performing Firebird in Paris, which is like crazy. So I think that's definitely my favorite one, just because the company hasn't performed it in 20 years and we haven't been in France in 40 years. So it really just feels like another big milestone in my career. And I have a lot of family and friends coming, my boyfriend too. So I'm like, it feels like a really big deal. And it's a really challenging role that I've kind of dedicated a couple of years into building my intentions, the stamina, the courage to do it. So I think we just performed it in November in Detroit. And at the end of the ballet, like I get hooked up to wires and like suspended like 15 feet in the air. So that's really cool. And it's kind of like the best feeling ever after doing a lot of hard dancing, just like not having to do a crazy step at the end and just be giving face. So I'm really excited for that. And also just like in terms of the company too, being able to do a work like that again. Because we were on hiatus for 8 years from 2004 until 2012. And so the company's been kind of rebuilding for the last few, like this decade and some change. So it's really cool to get to the point where we're doing one of the iconic ballets of the company again.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, we're performing it in Norfolk, Virginia, and New York too. So I don't know if you're feeling like making a trip.
I was gonna say you guys should come to Atlanta. That would be amazing.
No, we haven't been to Atlanta in a while. We
Yeah.
went my first season.
Hmm.
Um, but maybe I'll talk to our touring
Yes, yes, yes.
guys.
And I'm from New York, so I'll definitely like be on the lookout for like that.
That's true.
It's
Yes,
really
it'll
interesting.
be in April. It's kind of soon, but
Nice.
And our last question for you is, did you ever struggle between deciding to dance professionally and going to school for something else? And what other career fields were you interested in?
ooh, that's a great question. I honestly was like 100% dance. Um, but I didn't realize how much I enjoyed arts management too.
Mhm.
And just understanding the organization and how it works, being a nonprofit organization, I think that's really benefited me. And I'm glad that I took the extra courses because now I work on the social media team for Dance Theater of Harlem. So I'm one of the social media coordinators. And I really do find that even if you are in whatever field that you're doing, you should always have something else to go along with it to kind of work a different part of your brain. So I would say I'd probably take more marketing classes if I were to go back to school for something. Just because it's such a big part of a nonprofit organization in general. So it really does like shine a light on the company and bring people to what we have and to get to show that magic and reel people in. So I would say that, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would definitely say
marketing
like
is
media representation is like really important. Like since everybody's like like all about technology nowadays, I think that's definitely important.
yeah.
It's true. Yeah, because I joined in during COVID when we weren't performing, and I realized how much I enjoyed. Like, oh, like if we edit videos a particular way, people will realize like that we exist and that we're thriving. So I think that that has actually brought a lot of good positive energy to the company too.
Yeah, totally agree. Um, we got some questions in the chat, so I'm gonna read some of the questions for you to
Okay.
answer. The first one says from Naya, why do you think ballet and books is so important, and how have you seen the positive impact of the organization?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think it's so important because, like I said earlier, with movement and also reading and just having those two things together, I think is so genius because it's good for the soul to move around, to hear that music, and to be able to bring that to schools is so important. And being able to like I love reading through the book too
Hmm.
and just seeing the representation of the different children with disabilities with different skin tones, like just feeling like it's representing everyone is something that I really believe in, and also Dance Theater Parlin believes in that ballet is for everyone. And so I think that like ballet and books is a great part of that movement. And when you're young, I feel like being introduced to these things is your way to possibly get involved in it. I mean, there are so many people that don't start dance until later. And I'm not saying that you can't dance if you start later, but there is something to be said about starting when you're young and kind of building those blocks early on that can really benefit you. So bringing that to kids that don't necessarily have that ability to, if their parents aren't enrolling them, is really, really special. And that's a part of why I like supporting.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I feel like ballet and just dance in general also teaches you so many other life skills, especially starting early. Like, I feel like a big reason why I have so much self confidence is because of dance. Because like when you get out on that stage, like you gotta perform. Like you can't, like you have to
Mm-hmm.
have the confidence to perform. And like my mom will often show me my videos from when I was younger, and like I was on stage like bossing people around. Like, no, this is the move. This is where you need to go.
I
Um,
love that.
so yeah, I definitely feel like it teaches a lot of other life skills outside of just like the foundations of dance as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And even like memory too, like
Hmm.
having to get the steps given to you and then perform them and not like look around is something that you can use in any field. Yeah. It's like I mean, no one says that dancers are dumb anymore, but you really have to be really sharp to be able to dance.
Yeah.
So
And it really is a sport. Like they need to include it as a whatever the category is for sport. Like they really do cuz when I saw those videos when they put the football players in a ballet class and they're struggling because it's you have to be really athletic to dance.
it's true. It's true. Some of my friends are like the strongest people I know. I'm like,
Exactly.
how are you lifting everyone with such ease? Yeah,
Exactly.
it's crazy.
Agreed. The next question I see is from Priye. She asks, "What is an important mindset you have when you perform, and how does that translate into the importance of education?"
Ooh,
So,
I would say the positivity is a big thing. Because dance, like a lot of people think of dance as like very restrictive, very no, you can't do that, putting you in a box. But it really is, if you bring that positivity to it, it's like contagious with the audience. And so I feel like when you realize that kinetic energy, it's a kind of similar with education of like when you have a teacher with like positive reinforcement, it makes you want to learn more. So I feel like with dance, like realizing that it's not all bad, and like of course there's going to be teachers that aren't the nicest, but it really should be passing along of a tradition, and passing along of advice and encouragement, and it should be a safe space, and I've been lucky enough to have been in a lot of safe spaces, and that I was able to grow, and not feel like I didn't belong or shut down. So I think that that can apply to a classroom as well, and like with education, of the fact that it can be like not only are you learning, but the teacher is learning too, that kind of thing, that kind of cyclical energy.
Yeah. And definitely about the not every teacher is going to be nice. Like if everybody let that one mean teacher, make or break their education career, we would none of us would finish school cuz like
It's true. It's true. And you never know if they're projecting something else in their life. And,
exactly.
we're all humans. So, kind of like saying, like, oh, I had this one bad teacher. I stopped dancing after that. Unfortunately, that's not great for them. But I think that maybe you should bring that to the company's attention or the school's attention. And because it should be a space where everyone is accepted and motivated to keep growing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Next, Daniela asks, "How do you handle burnout?" And I know that's definitely something big because you've been with DTH for 8 seasons.
I think there are times where we perform dances over and over and over. And a big thing that I would say is finding newness to things that are familiar. So like looking at something from a perspective that you hadn't before, or pushing yourself like, okay, how can I really be on top of this musicality? Like listening to the music and like reconnecting with it, and not just like getting into autopilot. Cause I
Mhm.
feel like that's when I have burnout, is when I'm just like doing the steps for the steps sake, and realizing that every time we have a new audience, it could be a young girl that it's her first time seeing dance.
Mhm.
So I want to be able to say, like, I gave her the best representation of the art form, and knowing that like there's someone looking for inspiration to me is like, I think that's something that helps with like, I have to do this dance again, you know. And just also too, my friends are amazing.
Mhm.
um and I think like talking about, like, if you're feeling burnout, like saying like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, but I'm feeling this way, not holding it in and sharing it with others can maybe um pass the the burnout away. And
Yeah.
maybe they'll, if they're good friends, they'll motivate you like, hey, like you can do it, like maybe we should go to the spa. Some of my friends and I, we love going to the spa when we feel like exhausted, getting a nice sauna vibe,
Yeah.
conversation. I think that's also really, really helpful.
Yeah. as you were talking, it made me think like, what are some of your self-care practices and what do you do to like reset yourself?
Ooh, that's a great question. I recently have been meditating a lot more
Mm.
than I had before. Like my mom told me I should, like during COVID time, like 5 years ago. I just wasn't ready for it. um, Something about like sitting, and it was really hard for me to sit still. But just like anything, you have to like build the skill and kind of keep practicing at it. And so not being afraid to like focus on breathing
Mm.
and calm my mind is something that I found really balances out my performance. Because there can be times where you're thinking about the choreography, you're thinking about the corrections, who's going to be in the audience, like millions and millions of things going through your head. And so finding time to just like zen is like a big thing. Taking care of the body is important too. Eating well, getting sleep. I'm like, these are all very fundamental things that you guys probably know. But actually doing stuff, it can be hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found that that's also really helped me a lot with like being on a good regimen and routine is good.
Mhm. Do you have any other hobbies outside of dance? Well, I guess dance is not a hobby; it's like your job. So,
um well, that's a great question. I love to sing. I need to actually go take more singing lessons. That's been on my like uh New Year's resolution list for like the past 3 years. But yeah, I would love to possibly like go on Broadway in the future. So in order to do that, I need to not just sing in the shower and like get my vocal cords back in that kind of routine. So I think yeah, I love singing. I also love thrift shopping. That's like one of my favorite things to do, especially when we're on tour. I'm like, oh, okay, where's the thrift store? I
yeah.
gotta find some pieces for the wardrobe. Because sometimes we have like receptions and stuff,
Mm.
and it can get really expensive if you're buying everything outright, and it's good for the environment too. So, yeah, I definitely love doing that.
Yeah. What's your dream musical to be in?
Ooh, I'd probably say Wicked. It's
Right.
so catchy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
I've
Love
seen
it.
it like 4 times.
I actually have not seen part two yet, and every time I tell somebody that, they're like, "Girl, like."
What? No, that's
I know.
insane.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
gonna. It's on
so
my to-do list.
Yeah, we have to work on that. We have to
yes, we
work
need
on
to move that up.
Yeah, put at the top of the list.
that.
And then if you ever visit New York, you have to see the Broadway show.
Yes. I just recently in September I saw The Lion King for the first time. That was phenomenal. It was so
Yes. I
yes,
I have a couple of friends in it, so that's
lovely. I hope I saw them actually. And then the year before I saw Hell's Kitchen, which is Alicia Keys' one. That was like really good. Like surprisingly,
so good.
I was having some doubts, but like it was really good. It was really good.
I wanted to see that one.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, that's another fun hobby. I've started going to Broadway shows more.
Mhm.
It's so fun to get to see performance and just like I'm just in awe every time of
Yeah.
everyone's talent.
Yeah, my dream one is to see Hamilton with the original cast, but I know it's not gonna happen.
Fingers crossed. Maybe they'll do something.
Yeah,
I feel like
hopefully.
yes.
And then one more question from the chat says, "How did you maintain your classical foundation while adapting to contemporary movement slash styles?"
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, luckily our class at the beginning of every workday is like classical ballet. So I've been able to work on that and not just like taking class just to take class and warm the body up. Of course, that's like a essential part of class, but really working on my technique. Like even like today I took class, but I wasn't just doing it for the fun of it, but I was thinking about things that I can improve on. And one of my good friends actually films class sometimes with his iPad. And so we'll like airdrop them to each other and like review in the evenings and see what I'm feeling. And like sometimes I can think like, oh, I remember what I was thinking in that moment about how I'm holding my arms or how I was doing that turn, and kind of think like, okay, how can I perfect it? And then the next day trying it out. So I think that that helps me keep like my classical energy. And initially, like when I joined the company, it was hard for me to do more contemporary work because I most of my training was ballet strictly. And I did go to Alvin Ailey's summer program 2 years. So I think that was really good for me. I needed that. And so I would kind of like turn to that, my experiences there and what my teachers told me. And then not being afraid to ask my rehearsal director, like, I'm having trouble with this. What can I do to make it better? And yeah, I think that's something that can really help, is like realizing that there are people around you that will be willing to help if you just seek it. So they're not always going to come to you about it. So being proactive about those things can be beneficial to you.
Yeah, definitely agree. It's definitely important to advocate for yourself and ask for help where you need it. And I definitely used to record my ballet classes too, but I don't know if it was to like go back and watch, or it was just I was like trying to be in like a content creator.
Okay, you know what? That's not a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's good to see it. I used to like not like watching myself dance because I was like, I just see all the things that I need to work on. But
Yeah.
I realize now it's like you have to love yourself, and you know, there's not always gonna be it's not always gonna be perfect. It's rarely gonna be perfect, honestly.
Yeah.
So just like putting all the effort and the time in is all that we can do.
Yes, totally agree. Well, those were all the questions. I'm like so happy. This is
Awesome.
so great. Thank you so much for joining. We really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Yeah.
This has been really fun for me too. So I'm really excited to have been able to speak with all of you.
Yes, and Alexa said, please come to Spelman. We'd love to have you. I agree. I concur.
Yes. And we actually used to have this ballet in our rep called Change, where the Spelman singers like performed with us.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I
So
did
maybe we'll
not
have to
know
bring
that.
that back.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yes, okay. Can we
Yay.
like pose for a picture, and I'm gonna like screenshot the screen really fast.
Yeah.
Kayla, you might have to go up a little bit because the comments are, yeah, kind of hiding you. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Okay. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Bye.